Your personal brand isn't always something that is crafted in these big, intricate strategies. It can just be the everyday impressions that you leave in every interaction. And your emails is one of the places that you are building your personal brand with every impression that you leave. So today I want to talk about the 9 ways that you can embed your personal brand into your emails to turn something that can be transactional into memorable moments for your personal brand. Grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. Tip number 1 is to refine your personal brand sign off. The end of your email is the last impression that you are leaving for your personal brand in that communication. And you can use it to build the personal brand tone or personality that you would like to communicate. So think about how you can infuse your personal brand into the sign off of your name or your salutation. This might be coming up with something that is entirely unique to you or your industry and is potentially outside of the norm for your industry while still remaining professional. There is someone that I follow in the YouTube space who always signs off their communication with love and light, and I just love that personal touch that they add to their sign-offs because it's just not something that you would normally see in the field that they are in. But of course, in the professional sense, you're going to need to be a little bit more wary of what is appropriate for your personal brand, your business, or the organization that you work for. But you can do this in a more subtle way as well. And something that I always loved seeing with some of the executives that I worked with very early on in my career was the way that they would sign off their emails with their initials. I just thought it looked really nice because it was almost their personal brand in full in just 2 letters, and it really resonated with me when I would see it because their emails were so short and sharp and concise, and they still managed to find a way to make it personal in a way that the rest of the organization wasn't necessarily doing. And I just loved seeing that little touch in their personal brand. You might also consider using your nickname. So while your professional email address may use a full name, you might normally go by something else. And this is an opportunity to communicate that. And this is a way that you can build a more personalized approach to your personal brand in your professional communications as well. Tip number 2 is to add personality to your email address. This is something that is going to apply if you run your own business, or maybe if you have your own domain, and you can personalize this to communicate your personal brand in a less generic way. I personally feel like we can do slightly better than the old sort of info at addresses, and I personally love the approach of hello at energy that people bring to their email addresses. Or they might be, a different way that you can do this. Maybe you have hi, maybe you have something else that just feels a little bit more personal as opposed to being transactional, because the implication of something like info at is that it is transactional, that person is requesting information that you are going to give them, that they have a question that you will answer. But there might be a different reason that they are getting in touch with you. Maybe they just want to connect. Maybe there is something else that they want to communicate with you. And I just think there is a big difference between something as small as info at and hello at energy. Number 3 is to create micro moments of intrigue, and this is about cross promoting. When you have your own business, or if you work for someone else, you are probably going to default to thinking that you should just include your website address in your email signatures as a part of your sign off or as a part of your email stationery. But I would also consider if there is an opportunity to personalize that even further, or to niche down even further on what it is that you are communicating as a part of that more secondary call to action in your email, or that subtle cross promotion. While you probably do want to still leave your website address in there, is there an opportunity to Also include, say, your LinkedIn profile as a link, or a link to the articles that you publish on your blog, or a link to your YouTube channel or your podcast. Is there a way that you can subtly communicate your interests or your niche or your field of expertise through those various links that you communicate? Because you can say a lot through just those subtle details, and you never know who is going to be interested and click through on that to discover more about what it is that you have to offer the marketplace outside of what you are communicating in your email conversation. Number 3 is to show your face, and this is about adding your face to your email stationery, or if you have an email account that allows you to have a profile picture on there, that could be a good opportunity to use that, because this can turn something that can feel like it is a little bit impersonal or a little bit more surface level a conversation into feeling like you are potentially right there in the room with that person. Number 5 is to infuse your tone. So once you have written your email, you've probably spent a lot of time communicating what it is that you actually needed to get across in that conversation. But consider if you can just refine it a little bit further to add just a little bit more of the tone and the personality that you want to be communicating with, or your natural personality that you might have lost in that when you were busy focusing on the details, just so it does actually feel like they are communicating with a human being with personality, and that your personality is coming across in your emails. It's amazing how just turning a few little words into a different alternative or a different phrase can really change the tone of your communication. And you only need to do that in a couple of spots to be able to infuse some of your personality for your personal brand into your emails. Number 6 is edit with style. This is again a subtle way that you can build your personal brand into your email. Consider the font choices that you use and how you actually edit and structure your emails from a visual perspective as well. For example, do you go through and add headings to your email if you have a longer email to make it clearer as to what the different sections are? Do you use dot points? Do you tastefully use italics and bold? When you start to do this over time across your emails, this can also communicate the professionalism of your personal brand, the clarity that you bring to your communications. It can help to create, again, more of that signature style that you can become known for. Someone can receive your emails and know that it's going to be really clearly structured, and they know exactly what you are asking from them. And in a world where emails can be so overwhelming, people will really appreciate the clarity that you can bring to all of that chaos. Number 7 is to add your signature style to your subject line. Now, you can do this in potentially a couple of different ways. And one is to make your subject line really personal. Just have more of your personality, or the way that you would naturally speak, come through in your subject line, instead of it just being a really generic afterthought or the first thing that you write when you pull up your new email conversation. But another way that you can do this is also just take a really structured approach to your email subject line. So if you regularly send a particular type of email, or maybe you have lots of different types of emails that you regularly send, try and think if there's a way that you can format that in a really consistent way, so that when people see it pop up in their inbox, they can recognize what that communication is immediately. Within milliseconds, they know what that is, and if they need to address it straight away, or they know what to expect from that communication. So I think both options can work really well. I think a personalized, less generic, slightly out of the ordinary subject line can really have that cut through in a overflowing email inbox, and a really clear and concise and well-structured subject line can as well. Number 8 is to add a PS to the end of your email. As copywriters know, a PS in copywriting, whether it is an email, a web copy, or a letter, is one of the most powerful aspects of any communication. It can sometimes and most often get more attention than the rest of the communication that you have spent so much time explaining, because your eyes are just immediately drawn to whatever it is that you are highlighting at the end. And I've talked about previously on this channel that we have a primacy bias and a recency bias, meaning that we remember what we heard at the start and the end the most, and everything else in the middle tends to get a little bit jumbled. So consider if you can use your PS to really drive home whatever it is that your main point is. For example, if you are sending someone an email that is related to something that is time bound, maybe it is an offer, maybe it is a partnership opportunity that you are working on, whatever it is that your email really urgently wants to communicate, use your PS to try and communicate that again, to reiterate that message while not necessarily repeating yourself. Maybe it is a way to say, PS, I need to have this submitted or finalized by XYZ, or PS, the RSVP or the closing date on this is XYZ. Whatever it is, use your PS to highlight what your main point is and really drive home your call to action. And number 9 is to personalize your out of office replies. I've seen this done so rarely, but when I do, it stands out so much, and it only takes a few lines to be able to do this. So when you're normally out of the office, you tend to take that generic approach of telling people that you are out of the office and you will be back by a certain time and that you will attend to their email upon your return. But the ones that I absolutely love seeing are the people who, in just a couple of sentences, explain what it is that they are doing, whether they are holidaying somewhere, whether they are taking time off for another fun reason, whether they are off to a conference, whatever it is, it just adds, again, a little bit more personality and personalization into something that can be really transactional. And people tend to read out of office replies, because if you send someone something and you get an out of office reply, you tend to want to know when that person is going to be back. So it does usually get attention. So you may as well use it to leave a memorable impression. Thanks so much. For more on personal branding, subscribe for more like this, and I'll see you in the next episode.